And then if somebody can please just confirm that you can see my screen and hear me okay.
Yes, we can see you.
All right, thank you very much. I know I sent it out very late and I apologize, but basically gonna kind of follow along with this quick agenda and basically wanted to cover quickly what recently was deployed. Most of it I sent out in the normal emails, but there were a couple of things that I did not include just because they wouldn't completely make sense to a lot of the end users. But I know some of you experienced issues where communities would be kind of erroneously added into Salesforce, mostly for active lifestyles, having multiple cost centers, and it would create a new community and do kinds of fun errors, requiring IT tickets or fixes. So we corrected that. Anytime anything is sent from CMS, it goes through a process. We get notified and double check it before it just automatically is created. Basically, it just has to do with the fact that CMS considers every cost center its own community. It doesn't have the differentiation. We used to try to use parent-child relationships in CMS, and that was a mess for everybody else. It worked great for Salesforce, but hard for everyone else. So we decided to just kind of handle that within Salesforce. So that should no longer be an issue. Made a lot of changes to the option descriptions updates. They weren't following the normal logic where if you update the description, if the price would get updated and the option had changed, it should get updated as well. So we made some changes to that, as well as the configure home UI, where we had the total selected options field was not calculating correctly, had that taken care of. And there was the notes field that if you were adding, for example, like the DS total where we're often updating the notes, it was duplicating instead of deleting the old notes and inserting the new ones. So we've gotten that corrected. And then also added to the DocuSign recipient list. I think this was in my other group of notes as well, that the carbon copy will be sent to the agent, confirmed with legal that agent can receive any of this. If for any reason the buyer states they do not want their agent to receive documents, then it is up to the CR to change that to none. But for the most part, we found that they want everything. A lot of times they're helping their buyers go through the documents, so they do receive copies now. And then a couple other changes on a few of the reports that I mentioned. And that's it for ones that weren't on my standard list. Um, I did want to really quickly review on the community and connection contacts because I think a lot of you are responsible for setting those up. With what we recently deployed, we're trying to get rid of those community and connection contacts as much as possible because they are kind of a pain to set up. And because of the fact that they get copied at the time that the connection was created, which means that every person on there may change by the time they actually go to sale and close the home. So, as the first step, one of the ones we did was the designer, which you now see on the quote right here. And all it is you can edit it, and the designer just starts typing their name. It's a list of all Salesforce users. The nice part is, if a designer is new, then once they're hired, nobody has to go in and add them to every single community contact list before they'll appear as a connection that you can even add. Then you have to add yourself to the connection contacts on any of the ones you're on. So it was becoming just more of a pain than it was worth. So basically, it's handled the same way as a sales rep. They just type their name on here. Then, as you'll see next, coming out on Tuesday in our next push to production, which I'll mention in a minute, there will be a field manager field here as well. I know that they don't receive a lot of things, but they wanted to get carbon copied on the emails that go out for the CUE construction update, home update emails. So we're going to have the field manager right here with the same thing. You start typing their name, and then that way they can be carbon copied on that. So rather than go through the process of adding them in the communities and then to the connections and all that, considering most people do not want to receive every single email notification known to man. So by handling those at the community level and typing people's names in, it seems to make everyone happier. The other piece that came with that was the Shea Mortgage. It used to be that if you had an agent on the connection, then they would pull in here, but it had to be timed right. And if they changed, it was a pain. So now basically whenever they're creating a new finance record, if they select Shea Mortgage, The agent is one of the first fields, and it's the same thing. You start typing a name, and they will appear. So it can be anybody, any user. If you get a new loan agent, they will automatically appear because they have a Salesforce account, and they can be selected, and that way you don't have to worry about what community they're assigned to or if they change divisions or anything. So they can be added immediately. Are there any questions on that piece of it? I know it's been active for a while now. I just wanted to mention it again, since that way, if you're going to set up your communities, you no longer need to worry about on your community contacts having any of the designers or having any field managers or any Shea Mortgage people. It's basically down to just the community reps, and that's mainly for those that use it for commissions. And I'm working on an alternative for that as well, because it doesn't, far too difficult than it needs to be. So Lisa helped me with some of the requirements for her division. I need to get some more from Active Lifestyles, and then we'll hopefully be able to kind of just get rid of those altogether. If it's up to you, if you prefer going into your community and actually updating it and removing the community contacts, you can. If not, it's not obviously a requirement. And then down here is again where you'll handle all of your email notifications if you're not using the community contact. All right, so now I just wanted to mention on the home update emails, as I was just referring to, I wanted to let you guys know in case you're looking and not seeing them on the account, we did pause those emails at the direction of Chip because of the fact that some of them mention walks that they're going to receive and other pieces of information that we're not doing at this time. So they're just on pause. The Home Essentials video that goes out when they close escrow, that email is still being sent, but the other ones have all been just put on hold. So if you're not seeing those sent out, or if the CRs ask you why they're not going, that's the reason. I guess they reference certain walks that we're not able to do at this time. The other thing I had on here, I just wanted to mention, because of the fact that obviously everybody's doing everything via Skype, I was able to do a training with NorCal with their entire sales team over Skype, and it went okay. Next up, the Active Lifestyles group, we're going to do a couple of training sessions based on what they said they needed most. We kind of broke it up into a couple of different sessions, so we're going to go through those, and I'm trying to make sure that before we do any of these, I have the videos created for them to then go and train their CRs. So if any of your divisions, if the CRs have the time and they want to jump on a call, if you want to come up with some topics that maybe are consistently causing issues, it can be a 30-minute call if that's preferred. Sometimes that's easier than doing 2 to 3 hours and you lose people's attention, especially if they're on Skype, because they can do 100 other things. So if it's to give me 30 minutes and I want the CRs to review this one activity or to do this one function, and then, we can take this time to kind of go through shorter training sessions if that's preferred, and, hit those points that people are struggling with. And I can even provide, these are the dates that we're going to go over these things, and people can jump on if they want. So any ideas you guys have, I'm up for the best way we can, do what we can do during this time. So please keep that in mind and let me know if there's anything you guys need. And the last thing on that is if there's any special requests, for example, if you're trying to track any buyers that are having issues with, possibly not closing because of the COVID-19, and you need a special field that would help identify those individuals. I mean, I know we have some where we can say red, yellow, green and do things, but if there's something that would make it helpful for your teams to do their day job in and out with the way things are going now, let me know. We have the ability to, work with them if they need a special report that identifies, certain individuals or anything like that. Please let me know. Because we're trying to, every day something new comes out. So we're trying to accommodate the best we can. So if there's anything I can do to help, let me know. And then I'm going to go over really quickly the tickets that are in backlog right now. They're expected to push into production Tuesday, March 31st. We have a push to production every other Tuesday now. So those items, and they are listed on the agenda, so I won't spend too much time on them, but the APNO report, It will be a custom report because the way that we want the data to be displayed would be extremely ugly if we tried to do it on a regular report. So that one I'm having built, and it's going to look similar to the little snapshot that I put, other than there won't be the colors. That was for me to give the field names to developers and things like that. So it's basically just a list of the names of the individuals. You can select division, community, and then the activities completed time frame, and it'll just list the different events and then the different tasks and the count of how many they've been doing. So just something to give an idea of what activities are going on over a certain time frame. The phone fields, there was an issue with which ones were being sent to Compass. We had like home phone, mobile phone, then a regular phone, and then some other kind of phone. There was a lot of phone fields. So I've narrowed down and shrunk what's available on both the lead and the account in terms of phone numbers. There's only, I believe, 2, possibly 3 now instead of 5. And the ones that are on there are the ones that get fed to Compass correctly. So we've taken care of that. The sales activity report, the traffic source was not pulling anything. So I gave the new link for that. That's been corrected. The ability to delete contingencies if the quote is in draft or lot hold status. I had a few cases over the last month or so where individuals, the buyer thought they were going to be contingent, but before they went on contract, they either sold it or no longer were going to be contingent. That's something that the CR should be able to delete on their own. So they'll now be able to delete it unless the quote is approved, at which point then we need to either, cancel it or, extend it, or I'm forgetting the words, put in the release date or the expiration date and follow the right process for that one. We don't want them actually deleting them at that point. The lot hold cancellation, I'm having that clear the spec details if no spec quote exists. It doesn't really have a function necessarily or hurt anybody, but it's confusing. I've gotten a lot of calls on that. So once the lot hold is canceled, if there's no spec quote, we shouldn't leave the details in there, because then it also means the next time somebody goes to create a new quote, it pulls those in, and they're not really, they shouldn't be there, basically. It's just, it causes more confusion than good. So I wanted to have those removed if they cancel the lot hold and there's no spec quote. So that will happen. There's some additional financing fields being added to the new sale email. That was a Shea Mortgage request. So they asked to have a few more financing fields added, so those have been added. And then I already mentioned the new field for the quote manager being added and the blind carbon copy to them for the CUE emails. There's also an enhancement going into place for the My Shea Home manuals. Basically right now, the manuals are entered and they are at the community level, and if they close the home in that community, they get all these manuals. We're making it so that it can be tied to the option. So for example, if it's only tied to this GE refrigerator and they had that option code selected when they close their home, then they get that certain email. So there's still some that are the general warranty manuals for like the division level. Those will still be included, but there's some that we made that they're going to be able to now make specific to that particular option. So that's going to take a lot of setup on both the customer service and NPO side. So we've just set it up to be available, and then as time goes on, they will start to use it more and more. And then the last one I have on here, the UTS report. This is actually already live, but we did do a all divisions version, so more for probably corporate level, but if they wanted to see all divisions on one page instead of it broken out by community, that exists as well. And then the last thing I had on here was some of the items coming up. There's more than I listed on here, but I didn't want to put too many because some of them they're designing them and I'm not certain if they'll get them done in time. Now that we've kind of gotten through a lot of the minor quick fixes, there's some of these things, for example, the ability for a quote to be created for a plan with no available lot. That was asked of me, I believe, by Colorado and possibly Southern California, I can't remember, but back when we were doing the initial training, all the way back in August. But I do still have all my notes, and I am still putting things in, so I do not forget. And that was one of them, so I'm asking them to work on a design for that and a logical way to do it. And if depending on how many hours that will take, it may get done in the next sprint. It might take one additional one. So some of the items like that I haven't listed just because I don't know if they'll make it immediately, but we are working on designing several of the different things. Another one having to do with backdating VBAC traffic. Um, I know that's been a request, and there are reasons we didn't want to do it because it causes issues with a lot of validation rules and a lot of reporting. So trying to find a way to do that without causing any significant side effects. And I did learn that the main reason for it is there might be a Sunday where you have an event and a ton of people come in and they can't keep up with, walking up to a CR and finding their name and hitting the VBAC button. So we might be able to do something where they can enter their name in an iPad, and if they are already in the system, they can basically VBAC themselves. So we're trying to work through that and get the best solution for everybody. And then another one on there is the PDF versions. I know we've been waiting on those for community status, sales activity, and UTS. Those will definitely be done in the next 2 weeks, where they're formatted for you so you're not working with column lists and making it print on one page and messing with all that. So I know there are times when we want to print those reports or at least have a PDF that you can email to somebody that's formatted nicely. So those will be done in the next couple of weeks. And there's several other items, the home detail sheets that are now done where you have to actually generate it. Those are almost done and should be available to everybody in the next 2 weeks. I will probably be reaching out to one or two of you for some assistance on that because we want to test them thoroughly since they are such a big part of our system. But right now, you have to generate it. What we're going to do is revert back to the old way where this screen is available and you don't have to just generate it. It's just a tab for you to open up. You'll still have the ability to download it and print it like you could in the past, but you won't have to do that just to view it. So,
Yay!
so we are getting those back, and you'll see that they're already started. This is in the sandbox, but this is purposely not something you guys see yet. And that it won't be just a tab over here. It will actually be a button, but we don't want to confuse everybody that if they're working in here. So this will become something that is readily available, and they've already started on it. So that should be, we'll start testing it actually on Monday or Tuesday, but it's going to most likely go through a few rounds. So that's why I'm saying it'll be a couple weeks. But we will get that one out by, I think it's like April 11th or something is the next, whatever 2 weeks from next Tuesday is, that'll be the next time it's pushed, and this should be a part of it. So again, I know I went really fast and I apologize. If there is anything that you guys have questions on, and you're welcome to either just yell it out now, or if there's things that have to do with, my division needs training on this particular thing, you can email me. For the most part, after this week, things slow down a lot. So my calendar is, can be flexible to accommodate whatever your teams need. So please, like I said, just let me know, and I will do everything that I can to help you guys. I know it's tricky to try to get through everything. We're so used to being in front of people, and now it's all a lot of virtual stuff. So again, anything I can do, just let me know.
Hi, Amy. This is Sandra.
Hello.
Hi. I just have a question. So since now most of us are working from home, we don't have access to our files, and any file that was open prior to August 22nd, all of our deposits, the deposit receipts, some of those are not in the system. So I know they were going to be transferred to to CRC, but they are still not there. So if I have if the escrow is asking for the deposit, there's no way for me to retrieve it. What is the status of all those checks that were uploaded prior to August 22nd?
Unfortunately, I don't have the answer off the top of my head. I'd have to check with Krishna. I know he was working on that, and I see the ticket is still open. I think he was doing a lot more of them on an as requested basis because of the fact that there was so much in there. He was starting to go one by one and just that was becoming his new job. So I know if worst case scenario, if you say I'm going to need these lots in the next, couple weeks, I would recommend sending him a list and he will send them to you. Because he has them all stored in some crazy database somewhere where everything was exported to. I don't have access to that, or I would get them myself. But I'll follow up with him and I'll copy you on the email so you can see his response. But if worst case scenario, if you ask him for certain ones, he will find them for you. Just give him the lot cost center and, probably like the amount of the deposit, maybe the deposit date, and then he can grab it for you.
And also,
awesome.
And also, Sandra, we can you can look back on the deposit checks that we deposited. They should be in those folders as well. That's what I've been looking at.
Yeah. Okay. Just one more thing, Amy. So for DocuSign, some of my agents, I don't know if it's just some, but if they want to look up the status of an envelope, if it's been signed or not, I don't know if maybe just some can look at the status, or is it just if I was the owner of that envelope, only I can see the status if that buyer has signed or not, or if it's if everybody can already see it, because some of the agents can't if they weren't the ones that created that envelope.
Well, they should be able to see right here, like the status, the envelope status.
Right.
If they can't, have them just shoot me a quick note and I can look into it. But for the most part, this right here should not be hidden from anybody. And this will tell them, person by person, if this individual completed it, if this individual completed it, and it'll give their status right here. I know sometimes you'll click on the view in DocuSign. That one will not let you in unless you're the one that actually generated it sometimes. Or if you're shared with your person that works the community with you or whatever. But this right here should be available to anybody. And if it's not, then I can change that. So I'll log in. If you know one of their names too, I can also log in as them. Just shoot me a name and I can log in as them and make sure that they see this. But every community rep has the exact same rights in terms of this page layout.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Amy, this is Melissa. I have a question about the training for Active Adult.
Yes.
Is that on? Has communication gone out about that?
You'll get it in just a minute. I just confirmed. Steve just confirmed that the days I sent were okay. So it's going to be the 31st and 4/2 for an hour. So I will put that on there. We were going to take the place of stepping stones, but in light of the situation, you guys had other things to discuss on those that were more important. So I'm going to steal next week.
Okay, and will those be recorded?
Yes, definitely. And they will go out. I'll send the recordings out right afterwards so that you guys all have them.
Awesome. Yeah, some CRs, happens Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, well. All right, and then the other thing to mention, and I completely forgot. Oh, the everybody's favorite broker commission agreement. So I do have some good news on that. We were able to talk with Rick and have the form modified quite a bit. Removed the federal tax ID number, got clarification on what fields can pull into where. So I do have I have it up. I'm not sure if I have it open still, darn it. I've worked on making the changes that he wanted. We had to change some of the verbiage, and then we changed the bottom section. So now the broker, I always say these incorrect, because the brokerage and the agency are 99.9% of the time the same, we are going to be pulling only the agency in as the brokerage, and he does not care about the brokerage federal tax ID number because that's on the W-9. And then we were able to change the basically the verbiage on the bottom section to make more sense. So it will actually say either broker company or broker or agent or agency, the things you're used to seeing. So I have loaded that into the sandbox, and I've tested some of the fields. So the only thing that I have to change is we used to not have on the agency, we didn't have a license number field on there because we were confusing everybody and pulling it from the brokerage. And so I have a couple more revisions to make, and then we should, within the next probably week or two, be able to get the new form out there. And I think it will save all of you a lot of heartache in terms of that coming back blank. And as soon as I do that, I'm already working on, the document that shows what the changes are so that can be shared with all the community reps as well, so they're aware. But it should hopefully help clarify things a lot. And then I know we still need to clean up all of the agents and agencies, but it should help because we're no longer going to have separate records for the agency and the brokerage, since they're basically the same. So the brokers and agents should be listed under one account, as opposed to the broker is going to be under the brokerage and the agent is going to be under the agency. Basically, all agents and brokers go under the agency, and if they are a broker, they have the flag checked that they're a broker, and if they're not, then they don't, and that keeps things a lot cleaner. So I am working on that. I've not forgotten. It was hard to get Rick got a little bit torn away on other things the last couple of weeks, but he did get me that document, so I am working on that one as well. All right, any other questions before we sign off? All right. Well, thank you very much, guys, and stay safe and healthy, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you, Amy.